Hello, this is Milan with Financial Wisdom with Milan. Welcome. Today actually we're going to talk about how to gift money to someone, or if you can, or if you should, perhaps even pay somebody's medical bills or tuition. Is that taxable? So we will address that. Well, on a gifting first, for example, like each year or every few years, depending on how the IRS feels, obviously, and what the Congress and Senate votes on it, but they actually have a limit on how much one person could give to another before incurring any taxes. Because if you give, for example, above certain amount, you have to file the, I think it's a 706, the form. And it can be filed electronically too, by the way, so you don't have to even do the paperwork if you don't want to. But that being said, actually the limit for 2026, just to be clear, is yeah, exactly, it's 19,000. So if you're married, I'm just saying, if you feel that much in love with somebody and they're so excited to have you as their uncle or grandma or grandpa, and you wanted to gift somebody or a kid, actually you can give it 19,000, your spouse can do it 19,000, so the total can be up to 38,000. And that actually means that the person who has given the the money does not have to report and does not have to pay any taxes on it. Okay, that's how it works. For 2027, if I'm mistaken, it should be the same, but I wouldn't be surprised. They usually will raise it maybe to like 20,000 for the next year. But either way, it's probably going to be at least the same, should be in theory, and maybe because of the inflation, and they might change that. Usually towards the end of the year, they might change it and announce it. But it'll be no less than 19,000 for the 2027. So I just wanted to show you that. It's really important also. That's good to know. So basically, we wanted to know if we can actually report, so to speak, giving if you're paying somebody's education/tuition bill or medical bill. You cannot, you're not getting any benefit for the tax purposes, but if you can help somebody, you can pay a pretty much unlimited amount to somebody's tuition or medical bills. So if you have somebody, or you can afford to pay, I don't know, your friends, your cousin, friend, relative, it doesn't matter who, if you want to pay, actually, you can, and you will not be taxed. So even if the tuition bill can be large, as we all know, they're not cheap in the States, and maybe 50,000, 100,000, if you can pay somebody's off, well, you can, and you will not get a tax benefit, but it will definitely help that person, that's for sure. Same goes for the medical bills. So it's just important to know that you can, and you will not be taxed additionally, which is just as important. Because remember earlier we just mentioned that if you gift somebody $19,000 for the 2026, you do not actually have to file taxes on that gift, because that's the maximum amount allowed per person. So you can give it to as many people as you like. If you have 100 friends and you have money, you want to help somebody, you can. Or if it's a couple wants to help a specific person in the family or a friend, whomever in need. Like I said again earlier, she can do 19,000, you can do 19,000. So that's a 38,000 in gifting that you can do without incurring any additional taxes. So I wanted to just talk about second, if you're working, it could be corporate job, it doesn't have to be, but I'm saying if you have a profession where you actually have opportunity to have a 401k plan, dear Lord, if you don't have one, please unsubscribe from this channel. I do want to talk to you. This channel is not for you. Snap out of it, and if you have opportunity, please get the freaking one. You should have a 401k. I don't care what age you are, okay? It's simple. Because if you do, both of the sounds can come true. Meaning, like, if you don't have actually 401k and the opportunity presents itself that you could or should, because the employer might match your contributions sometime up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 8%. I mean, all depending on our employer, what they're willing to actually contribute to keep the key employees or actually good employees in the midst, as they say. So it's a good idea to contribute to your 401k monthly. So every month, before you get paid net, whatever it is, you should have some deducted from your salary or from your income actually to go into your 401k to start with. Some of them allowed it, not always, but immediately, 3 months, 6 months, sometimes even after a year, some of them only allow it. So they want to see that you're committed to the company. So if that's the case, you should definitely do so. Same with the stock options. If you have them, get them. Simple as that, okay? And if you don't, yep, you're going to hear my goat screaming. I'm telling you, you should. Because what happens down the road? That's right, you're cashing back, that's right. So it makes a difference. So I wanted to just talk about briefly for a second about the limits, what the limits are. So we know that if you're under the age 50, right, for the 2026, I should put this, I apologize. For 2026, we know the 401k, if you're under age 50, maximum contribution is $24,500. I know some of you might say, oh, that's a lot of money. No, it isn't, because you're, again, doing it for whom? That's right, for yourself. And do you have a rich Uncle Bob? Somebody's going to be helping you? I'm sorry, what? You don't? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Of course you don't. Neither do I. So help yourself. Contribute to yourself. Makes sense. If you're above 50, if you can, obviously, I'm just putting a number what the limits are. Yeah, anything up to that makes perfect sense. If you can do a limit, great. But I'm saying if you can, if you're above 50, you can do what they call a catch-up provision. So they'll allow you to do additional 8,000. So 8,000 plus 24,500 is actually 32,500 you can contribute to your 401k. And remember, when you get stuff, some of you might actually be fortunate enough to get like a bonuses, and it's maybe payable as income in some cases. Shit, I mean, that's the opportunity to do it. I mean, if it's a once a year, I don't care if it's in December, because in theory, you can contribute like an IRA actually up to April 15th of the next year for the previous year. So I'm sure most of you know that. If you don't, but that's how it works. So you can actually contribute, and you should. The reason for that is simply because you're helping yourself now before the retirement. Also, there's a super catch-up provision. I think at age 61 to 63, you can only do it for 3 years, which additionally 11,250, if I'm not mistaken. You can do additional super catch-up, what they call. But you can only do it for a 3-year period, because that's a 3-year period. They expect you to be retired after that. If you have already done so, you cannot contribute the same way again at that age, meaning that extra super catch-up. But you can do this plus this after age 50. So it's very, very important to address that, okay? So yeah, when I was saying age 61 to 63 is actually 60 to 63 for the super catch-up, which is additional 11,250 for the contribution. But one thing I just wanted to talk about for a second also is for the 401k. And if you have an option, whether it's what they call a corporation, it's on the up and coming, so to speak, you have a good feeling about it, and maybe they have begin to issue like a stock, even though it is not publicly traded, because remember, I have to remind you, Amazon was not always trading publicly, Apple or eBay, any of the stocks before they blew up, as I say, before they grew up to be to what they are. So if you have a chance to actually get some stock, and if you need what we call advice, should you not? Obviously, you should talk to your financial professional about that. That's clear, because if you don't, you're ridiculous. You should, because there are a lot of people actually who literally build their retirement by just buying the corporate stock in their retirement plans. And I know a few of them because they're my clients. Yep. So it's very important to be aware of that. And even though some of them might be like a privately held, so to speak, so they're not publicly traded, doesn't matter, because chances are at some point they might become an acquisition target of somebody bigger than your company, and they might be interested. And if you transfer the shares, usually, not always, you might get like a 1-for-1, where your share of the company might equal the one that's been transferred to, or maybe like a 2 of yours for one of the acquiring company. Still a better deal than not having it. So if you have opportunity actually to buy the shares of your company stock, definitely something you should talk about with your advisor, because he will probably look at the numbers and of your company if it's a legit contender to become something, meaning like has a good price to earning ratio, but you know, that's for public traded company. But what I mean, like their sales to earnings ratio, like how much you're selling, how much you guys are earning, what is your capital expenditure, how much they owe, which is a huge one, obviously, because not always, but generally some of the smaller companies might be acquired with their debt by a larger company. But even so, they might have a product or a service that a large company does not have and wants it, so they will pay premium for it. That includes the shares that you already hold, because you have acquired them, you have listened to Milan, and you have bought them over the last few years. So all that is true also. So please talk to your advisor about it. I think it's really important. One of the things that most people don't think about it, but actually should be. So if you're asking me as a person and professionally, I mean, what is a better option than 401k? Yeah, you heard the sound? Roth. If you have opportunity to open a Roth 401k because of your income, because there's certain limit, what do you call, that needs to be met for the Roth IRA. But for the Roth 401k and 401k in general, it doesn't matter how much you make, you can still have a Roth 401k, because if you're smart, you open a Roth. Why? Because it's with after-tax dollars. So basically, as it grows, you don't have to pay any taxes on the gains that you create over the period of years going forward. What that means is that when the time comes for the retirement, you can literally take the money out of it and not pay any taxes. And I have a bunch of clients who've done that, and they retired as a millionaires literally by putting the money in the Roth 401k. Makes a huge difference, you wouldn't believe. Perfect example, actually. I'm pretty sure, and you can correct me in the comments, but I think you remember the guy called Mitt Romney? Yeah, that one. And he actually had, most people don't realize, maybe they know, but he had the largest Roth IRA in the country at the time. I think it was like a couple hundred or few hundred million dollars, because he bought our shares of the company he was with at the time, and he put them into his Roth 401k. They were worth literally cents, I think, on the dollar at the time. But as the company grew and grew, now it's worth so much. So he can literally take all that money. You wouldn't have to pay a single dime on it. So just think about that. So as you get older, why some of my clients who just have this, why do we convert them when it's worth it, when it makes sense, from that, for example, to this? Because they might pay taxes, let's say even over a period of 5 years, but after that, they don't have to pay any more going forward. So if they're still working, or actually want to, if they leave the corporation, that's another one. If it was marked as a Roth 401k, you can roll it over as a Roth IRA. That's right. And then the rules going back to those maximum contributions for the year kick in, like, if you're still working, obviously, since you're no longer with that company, but you can contribute to a Roth depending on your age and what the maximums are. Not these numbers here, obviously, I don't want to confuse you, but the one that we talked about for the IRA. Okay, so it's really, really important to think about this and talk to your advisor about it. And for the ones who are on the fence, which I think there should be no fence, well, Milan, I can't afford it. I have so many bills. I don't care. Let me say that again. I don't care. You have to help yourself first. Remember, we talked about this. If you don't have any of these, or something to that effect, that you're putting money aside, what the hell are you doing? Well, actually, let me ask you a better question. Why are you doing this to yourself? Are you into like self-harm or something? Look, we live in a society where having a job is considered a good thing. But also we live in a society we are expected, I guess you can say a societal norm here in the States and around the world, is to be taking care of yourself. Unless you have a special needs or you handicap or somebody's helping you, that's a different conversation. We'll have that over a period of time, because I have a few clients like that as well. Obviously, it makes sense to be helping yourself. And the reason for that is because nobody's coming to the rescue. As I said many times, I'll say it again. So by putting the money, if you're working, if you have opportunity to do so, put money aside. Remember, no man should depend on a woman, and no woman should depend on a man. Okay? And I cannot stress this enough. It's important, particularly going forward. You have no idea how many times I heard people tell me, well, Milan, I have a social security number. Social security. And I usually just do this. When they try to answer, they'll do this again. Yeah, because I'm literally screaming on the inside, but I can't scream at them because it will be unprofessional. But I want to. I really want to, but I can't. So think of it this way. Snap out of it. Start contributing to yourself, for yourself, by yourself. Remember we talked about this before? You're doing this for you. Not for me, not for anybody else for that matter. You're doing it for you. I love when a younger client tell me, but Milan, you don't understand. I want to go to Cabo. I want to go on a cruise. Okay. And I saw this beautiful handbag that I have to have. Okay. And then there's another son or daughter that I hear from a client who tell me, no, I'm all good. I'm maxed out. I contribute regularly. And actually, I wanted to call you and ask you if maybe you can help me or give me a suggestion which investment to go with in our 401k. Because remember, by you starting to contribute to yourself, for yourself, you are beginning to actually develop that wisdom money habit, whereby doing so will help you. But folks, I have to say this because I don't know how else to say it. If, let's say you're a younger person in your 20s or 30s and you're married, or even not married, doesn't really matter, but you have kids. Remember, I'm not the first person to tell you your mom or grandma told you. Kids see and hear everything. So if you think you're slick, it doesn't work like that, okay? To me, it will be impressive with you as a parent actually telling in front of your kids, your wife says, honey, I just want to tell you I contributed more to 401k. The kid's going to wonder, what is that 401k? It's for daddy's retirement, mommy's retirement, to make sure we are good when we retire, honey, because nobody's coming to the rescue. You can tell them, start using that line at the very beginning. Because remember, we as a grown-ups treat sometimes our kids as not grown-ups, or treat them as I don't know, what's the word? I'm trying to find the right word in English, but you can put your own line there if you want to. But the truth is this, what we do in life matters. Not what we just say, but also how we act and what we do. And our children see that. So what greater example can you possibly set when they see the mom saved, dad saved, and well, shit, nobody has to worry about it in their retirement. So literally the Social Security money that comes when they retire will be for a cruise if they want to do it. I mean, they'll be able to literally use money for the cruise if they want to. But what I was trying to say is like, by you putting the money into the 401k or IRAs as you start, when you start your, what do you call, a journey in life, because you're a productive member of a society. Taking just and not producing, it's selfish in my opinion. Call me romantic if you want to. But if you produce and produce for yourself, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's a smart thing to do, to start saving. Just to continue on the subject of saving, I grew up in Serbia, which is a republic of former Yugoslavia. And we didn't have much. My mom was, assistant store manager, even though she was doing all the store freaking manager's job. And we rarely even saw the manager, but she was doing all of it. Amazing. My dad was a truck driver. Simple as that. He'll become a limo driver later. But when we actually literally put the money aside. And during those times back in former Yugoslavia, there was no credit cards to be had. We didn't have any. Either you had money to go on a vacation when you wanted to maybe do once a year for a week or two, or you didn't. So the whole premise is a family, and we saw our parents do every day, trying to save money, what groceries can we afford, what groceries can we do. So I hear you, I live there, I know exactly what you're talking about. But just remember, the joy, once you begin to feel the money jingle in your wallet, as the book says, if you remember the book I was talking about, The Richest Man in Babylon, please read that or listen to it. I promise you won't be bored. But if you do, you'll see what I'm talking about. Once you start putting the money in your own little wallet, every month, you begin to realize that good things begin to happen. You'll see things, opportunities will be presented to you that you have not seen before. Why is that important? Well, because other people also see you as somebody who is really thinking ahead, somebody smart, who's planning ahead. That's wisdom. That's 101, financial wisdom right there. But planning ahead, we can definitely, like I said it clearly, we can definitely avoid some of the pitfalls a lot of Americans are feeling these days. Folks, we are literally retiring, one of the largest generations, what do you call it, population numbers. I mean, we're talking about tens of millions of retirees about to be hitting retirement, and a lot of them do not have much. Could they have saved for a period of time? I'm sure. I don't know, though, obviously, each person's circumstances, and they can tell them, 1 million, you don't know what you're talking about. I have to pay for this, I have to pay for that. Yes, but I promise you, you can live on a 90% of your income. You don't have to live on 100, but you can live on a 90% of your income per month. So my only question is, if you know that you can I say it without you being offended? What's your excuse? So I just want to talk about something just to make you chuckle, if you like. This is a true story because I couldn't make this up. So I have a couple of clients, they're almost same in age, two guys actually, both widowers, both widows, which is very rare. Usually my ratio of widows to widowers is like 8-to-1. I have 8 times more widows than widowers. Yes, we die first, we go first. That's a fact, guys, I'm sorry. Particularly with a similar age, you and your spouse. But another thing I want to talk about is like one of them works in Walmart as a greeter, as a part-time gig because he has not saved enough and he has to. The other one, you know what he tells me? You know why he works at the Walmart? He's there to meet the chicks. Yes, I know you're going to say, oh, that's gross. No, yep, old people still have sex. That's right. And I'm just telling you, so he's there. He doesn't have to. He can retire 3 times over, I can tell you that, because I'm his advisor, so I know. But that's his social club. He gets to meet the people, as he says. So, yeah, he's been invited to numerous parties. And maybe you heard stories from a place called Villages here in near Orlando. You probably heard some stories, but I can tell you some of them are really true. It's the largest retirement village in by the zip codes in a state of Florida, but also it's the largest concentration of elderly with the STDs. Yep, you heard me say that. So yeah, people do that. And one of the favorite things at the parties is because I just heard, I've never been to one, but I just heard from some people that I know, that's all I'm going to say. When the party is, sometimes they just throw the keys on the table and other person who likes them will pick them up and, well, Anyway, so what I'm trying to tell is have fun in life, obviously enjoy your life, but please, for the love of God, start saving because this is a good thing. And if you don't, So I guess I didn't put up the numbers, so let me do it this way. And the really actually some of the really free sites you can go on, Fidelity or Vanguard, I really like those two mutual fund companies. They're very reasonably priced for what they have, meaning the options, because a lot of the what we call 401ks or Roth 401k plans, a lot of them actually have those mutual fund companies in their choices list. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but I wanted to just talk about the limits of the contributions for the IRA. If you work, unfortunately, and you do not have a 401k, but you can still contribute to your individual retirement account. Whether it's regular, which is traditional, that means that you put in the money, so to speak, that you can put in the what you call the net dollars. Most people know that you actually have to pay the taxes when you take it out after the age 59 and a half. That's how it works. That's how it's structured. Versus the Roth IRA, that if you put the money in, as we said earlier, we talked about when you put the money in, as it grows, which is the goal, is that you will not have to pay the taxes on it. So just a couple of things. So we know that under the age 50, the limit for what we call 2025, because it's February when I'm filming this, so you can still contribute for 2025. If you're smart, if you have the money, this is the time to do it. Write a check, send it to your advisor or to the plan, whomever you have it with. And that means you can contribute $7,000 individually. So if you're under the age 50, you can contribute $7,000 for 2025. Okay. Same goes for the person who is over 50. If you're over 50, you can contribute for 2025 $8,000. The catch-up provision is obviously still applies, and that goes for the, again, traditional IRA as well as the Roth. Now, what is important to remember is this is the different number for the 2026. They increase the number, usually they do every year or two. So for this year, the limit for age under 50, so that means you have all the way up to April of 2027 to contribute to your IRA or Roth IRA. It's $7,500, and if you're over age 50, you can contribute to $8,600, which is great. So you certainly can do so. What is important to remember for the Roth, I think you can see, let me stand here so you can see, because I'm sorry, my camera obviously is just a wide angle. But the contribution limits based on the income. So we know for the Roth and IRA, the rules apply slightly different versus the Roth 401k that we talked about earlier. Meaning the income actually does play a role. Just for the sake of argument, for the simplistic purposes, if you're single and you're filing as a single person or individual, even if you're filing individually, the limit is 150. So if you make more than 150, you cannot contribute to a Roth IRA, not all of it anyway. And if you make less than 150 a year, you can contribute the whole amount, whatever that is, depending on your age, obviously. And for the 2026, slightly different. So instead of 150, it's actually 153 for single. And if you joined, it's 252,000. And we see in the previous year, in 2025, the contributor maximum, for example, again, based on your age, it was a $236,000 income, what you call modified adjustment gross income. So we have those numbers there for a reason, just because we wanted to share with you what it looks like when you contribute. Basically, what it sounds like, that's a good sign. And if you don't contribute, yep. Okay, so let's talk about how do you sign up and what choices you might have in your 401k plan. How do I go about it, Milan? Well, actually, the easiest thing to do, honestly, if you're in a company and you haven't done the homework ahead of the time, shame on you, okay? Do it ahead of the time. Do it quietly. Nobody has to know. Again, literally, you can pick up the phone, call the HR. Yep, Human Resources, and they will direct you to the website. Usually, they have a website. So you will input either your employee ID or your date of birth, your social. Usually, sometimes they use that as a reference, because a lot of 401ks, the account number is a social security number, actually, because it's a unique number to you, obviously. And once you log in, you'll see actually they will guide you through the steps. So they verify you that you agree with this, you agree with that. Just a lot of necessary paperwork to protect their assets, basically, pardon my French. But that's what it is. So once you actually go through it and you set up the account, they will ask you, actually, a lot of companies these days actually have a choice. They will allow you to either allocate your money monthly that you pay, or bi-weekly, depends how you get paid, either by percentage, which is kind of cool, and by money. Meaning, so you'll have an option to contribute literally, I'm sorry, my hands are a little bit sticky today, percentage of your income. So you can tell them, hey, I want a 10%, as we talked about, at least 10% monthly. And I want to be taken out of my income to be going into the 401k or Roth 401k, preferably. But if you can, so this is another thing. So now you have that option. And then you have an option where it's $1. You might actually just choose, you know what? Most of us deal with dollars, not percentages daily, as we know how much our bills are, right? You know how much you're paying for your, what you call cable bill, for your, what you call mobile bill, for your mortgage or whatever. So you know monthly how much that is. So you know how much monthly net you get each month. But I'm just telling you again, I will say this over and over till the cows come home. You can live on 90% of your income. I know you can. And so let's say it's a dollar specified amount. Let's just put out there like a $500 a month. I'm just saying. Okay, so it's $500. So that might be like a 10% of your what do you call salary. So that's a 5,000. So 10% will be what do you call 5,000. So you might be getting like a 5,000 income per month. So what is that? Like a times 12. That's $60,000 a year. So average, what do you call depending where you are, of course. I cannot speak for the whole country because we know as well as anybody else that circumstances are that what we call private employees might not pay somebody as much as if you're in a corporate job, if you get a gig, if you're fortunate enough, if you want to go that route. If you think that's a good thing, you certainly can. But either way, not to go on income now, just to talk about actually contributions. So what I wanted to talk about is like how you can contribute. By doing this way, actually, the money goes into your account, into the 401k. So it's there. As a matter of fact, I would suggest when it happens the first time, do nothing, just observe it and make sure it's in it actually. It's just a mental exercise. That's all it is for you to recognize what you've done and to give yourself, because you should. You absolutely should. So we are at the point now money is in the account. You are thinking, am I crazy? Is million out of his freaking mind? Why am I putting so much money aside? Again, who are you doing it for? For yourself. Why are you doing it? Well, for yourself again. So you gotta take care of yourself first. Remember that. You're the principal in this story. And as the old saying goes, if this is your movie and your story, shouldn't you act like a lead actor? I don't know, just an idea. And it's a line from a movie too that I've seen. But for example, so 10% comes in a month, right? If you ask me which is my preferred method, the percentage or the dollar amount, I like this one actually a little bit better. And I'll tell you why in a second. So the fund A, for example, we know that what do you call the fund A, we can put a, I don't know, if you want to do it this way, you can. So you can do something like, what do you call, let's say fund A, it's worth putting like maybe a 4% in. So you put a 4% into that one. In the fund B, you put a 3%. I know my handwriting is horrible. I apologize. And 3%, so 3, 6, and 4 equals 10. So you can do it that way, okay? Now, why do I like that one so much versus the dollar amount? Well, it's simple, actually. Chances are, if you're a younger person and you probably have an upward movement in a corporation, if you're lucky enough, I know a lot of you say, like, I must be smoking weed. I don't, but I'm just telling you, there might be opportunity where your income has increased. So as your income increases, so has your contribution to your retirement fund versus the same dollar amount every month. So even if your income increases, you still contribute the same amount, which is kind of, you're shooting yourself in the foot, basically. So if you're wise, and we are on this channel, we already talked about it because you're special and I love you, we're going to do the percentage. Because that's where as your income increases, so does your contribution. So all of a sudden, I don't know, let's say your salary goes from 60,000 to 70,000. Let's just make an extra $1,000 a month, for example, or sorry, that's about 80,000 roughly. But either way, all of a sudden, this percentage now, the dollar-wise, it's actually a lot bigger versus this. And why is that important? But look at it this way. That's why I always tell the clients and even the public, if you ever are fortunate enough to win the Powerball, Mega Millions, or Lotto, don't even, I will slap you myself if you consider taking as annuities. You don't need to. We can get them afterwards. But what I'm saying is, like, always collect cash. Get a lump sum. Makes perfect sense. You being in the control makes perfect sense because you have control over the assets. Well, same thing here. So as this grows, obviously, the more you put up front, the better it is when. You said what? Later? Yeah, later. That's right. Later in retirement, later whatever. Because if your income grows, so does your fund. It's simple as that. It is simple as that. So there's no magic in actually pretending that I know more than somebody else or that I'm wiser. I'm nobody, okay? I'm just another advisor who is trying to help people actually do it right going forward. So it's important to address this because you have a control over some of the things. So please remember, if you have a choice to do percentage-wise, always do that. I think it's a better way to go because that is actually percentage of your overall income for the month or for the year. So as your income grows, again, so does your contribution. So just talk about it with my creepy little purple pointy finger. When you contribute monthly to your what do you call fund allocation, you have already chosen what you wanted to invest in. And that's a smart thing because we're going to do the homework ahead of the time. Again, do it quietly on your own time. You can have a sip of glass of wine and whatever. It's just maybe your kid's asleep and or you're the vacation, whatever. You can do that because what will happen is once you log in and you set up your account, actually you'll be given a whole list of mutual funds, and they come from different mutual fund families. So it's not just like one what we call option. There'll be probably several, dozens in some cases. Frankly, I think having a lot of choices is not bad, but it can be also very off-putting for a lot of people because they might be doing this for the first time. So note to the 401k geniuses who put these plans together, make it simple. You don't need to have freaking too many. For example, if you already decided on a fund, you might choose something like, for example, if you're still in your, 20s, 30s, or 40s, you're still building your wealth, something like in a growth fund, which contributes to the companies like, or invest in a companies like companies without necessarily any earnings. That's a fair statement. Fund B could be a value fund, companies who have been around for a while and they're producing goods and market services, whatever, and they actually have a positive net or cash flow, and they have actually customers who like them, and they produce good revenues. And then you have a C, it could be international, which is not a bad idea also, particularly if you're growing, because you can put a certain percentage in international. Now, the companies like I like them because I dealt with them over the years, like a Fidelity, Vanguard. They have a bunch of good funds. If you're fortunate enough to have some of their funds in your 401k, you're very lucky. It's a smart play, no question about it. And you can choose some of the really popular funds that actually have done really exceptionally well over the years. But also just to remember, when we choose the funds, we're not going to be dilly-dallying. Once we decide what that is, stick to it. That's it. Simple as that. I mean, contribute to it, contribute to it, contribute to it, contribute to it, contribute to it. That's how it works. Now, is markets always going to go up, Milan? Really? Are you asking me that question? Please leave the channel and subscribe. Of course, it's not going to go up all the time. That's why I'm here. It doesn't go up all the time. That's a fact. It goes down, and it goes down like this sometimes. Yeah, exactly. The point is this. Your contribution is what matters, not necessarily the price and the share of the stock. It really doesn't. And we'll go there in a detail in one of the next videos. It's called dollar cost averaging, where you can do that in IRA as well as the 401k, where you can put a consistent dollar amount each month, no matter what the price of the stock or a fund is. You continually contribute, and by doing so, once the market's correct and go back up again, so will your portfolio. So we're not panicking. I'm just saying you can do so. Obviously, that's pretty straightforward. So the whole point of the exercise is to exercise your muscle. I think if you have opportunity to set up a 401k, this is a great year to do it because I have a feeling markets cannot go up. They're really high right now, I can tell you that. And they cannot go up forever. So the matter of correction is just a matter of time. So be aware of that. So I just wanted to touch briefly on dollar cost averaging because I think it's important to talk about that just because of what the markets actually do and how they do these days. So it's very important. So let's say we're doing this traditional way, which is $500 that we said a month, right? And the share per fund that we're purchasing is $100 per share. So we know that in the first month, because we contributed $500, we can only buy 5 shares, which is great. We bought 5 shares. February comes along, same. We contributed $500. We bought another 5 shares. Great. But then this happened in March. So we were all the way happy here. You can see us smiling here and enjoying ourselves. Then literally I've been doing this long enough, I can tell you. Markets going up might take a little while to go up. But markets going down does not happen over a period of time. Generally happens in 1 day, 1 week, or within a month. Okay, at the worst case scenario, because I've seen some good, bad, and ugly things. So when it does drop, so all of a sudden the shares that we were paying $100 per share, now it's actually $50 a share because it's dropped that much. But guess what? It doesn't really matter. It does not affect us because we're looking at the long term. So what happened just now? We just bought 10 shares in that month because the market has dropped, so has the mutual fund. Because remember, if you have a market investment, that's called market risk. It will move with the market. It's simple as that. And if anybody tells you otherwise, they're lying. So that's how it works, okay? So same in April. So obviously you might be now in what they call, God forbid, recession. But let's say the next month in April, again, we contributed $500. So we can buy how many shares? Since it's still at 50 because it hasn't moved up, markets are still down here. So we just bought another 10 shares. But what I was trying to tell you, look at this. So you have 10, 20, 30 shares just over 4 months. And you might say, but Milan, that's not much. I mean, I want things to go up. Yeah, so me and the rest of the 99% of the population, I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing with you. All I'm saying is like the smart play is the long-term game always wins, particularly in investing. So thank you for being with me for today's, I hate to use the word lesson, for today's wisdom. Basically, again, just to reiterate, the idea was to save for yourself and start the 401k. And the reason for that is again, you're the principal, you're the main actor in your movie. Start helping yourself and start doing it now. You're going to tell me, oh, wait, I'm so old, I can't do this. BS, a giant horse BS. As a matter of fact, let me do this one. Bullshit detected. Take precaution. I'm sorry, you didn't hear that? Okay, let me try it one more. Bullshit level, DEFCON 5. As long as you're kicking, you're 6 feet above ground, you can do it. Little by little. How do they say? Cinch by cinch, everything. No, inch by inch, everything is a cinch. My bad. Inch by inch, everything is a cinch, right?